All right, guys, so we're gonna see if we can get this giant muscadine pruned up and see exactly what we're dealing with here. This thing probably is at least 100 foot, which is pretty crazy. So check out the footage here. We're kind of following along. Dean Family Acres. Alright guys, so today we're going to prune our wild muscadine vine, and I'm going to show you just general steps in regards to what to do, and hopefully this will be a learning experience. Pretty much everything that I've learned about muscadines has been from Ison's Nursery. Check them out here. I'll also link them down below. Alright guys, so you can kind of see that we've got vines going everywhere. I will say one difference on this wild vine that I let happen. Number one, because we had goats in this pen before, and I was worried that the goats might catch one of the main trunks and I'd have to start completely over. We don't have goats in here anymore. The only difference from Ison's is that I have more than one trunk. We're starting to have just a little bit of swelling on these vines. In regards to where the leaves and fruit and stuff comes out. So I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to do, and then you can kind of check that out. First step is that you want to make sure on timing. It's about middle of February, so that's a perfect time for us to prune. And then when you're coming up, you see this is my main trunk here coming out, and you want to make sure and let that V and go each direction approximately 10 feet. And then in regards to pruning, you want these to come out, and then you want to prune those off when they're about 4 to 5 inches. You can also count the number of buds to, I think it's 3 to 5. Last year the goats got a hold of this, so they kind of did some pruning to me, and then these longer shoots were later in the year. But you also want to make sure that you have about a hand's width in between each one of these offshoots. So as you can see, right here is perfect. You can see this one here and this one here are almost perfect. Here and here is a little bit too close together, so I'm actually going to prune this off. Also, just make sure you got some nice sharp pruners, and you want to cut that off. Okay, so as you can see there, we have nice good spacing. You also want to make sure that these are either coming off the side or off the top. You really don't want those coming off the bottom. Once you get things all the way down here to the end, this is approximately, this isn't 10 feet, but it's approximately getting there. These are obviously too long, so what you can do if you want to is just, in order to get them out of the way, just kind of prune them, chunk them to the side, and then come back and kind of make your closer cuts. That way it's a little bit easier. After your vines become established, then you can definitely make sure and you can see what's going on in regards to where you actually have some laterals, that kind of thing. Down here where we were previously, you can really start to see that, but like I said, the goats kind of got a hold of this a little bit. The other thing about this wild muscadine vine is I've never seen fruit on it, so potentially it could be a male vine. This will be year 3, I believe, on this this vine. If it doesn't do fruit this year, I honestly might just let it be an ornamental, and I'm planning on probably planting another vine here on this other end. This is also in the shade, so I've got a couple more trees that I want to thin out in this area, and when I do that, that also might allow it to fruit. So there's some potential with that. I've got to decide if I want to do those trees. We've just got so many other things going on. Y'all know the list continually grows. The biggest thing with pruning is timing. And like I mentioned earlier, when these buds start to swell, you know, you definitely, it's time to prune. And there's not really a threat for us here in zone 8A. So I know the lighting on this isn't exactly perfect, and I've got vines right in front of my face, but that's totally fine. But you can kind of see exactly where we prune this out. I did leave some of these a little bit longer because I wanted to kind of point out a few things. So let me get you a little closer and I'll let you see that. All right, can y'all see this one here? I don't know if you can quite see it. It's a little tangled up. This is actually splitting right at the fork, and we don't want anything coming off right there. So I'm actually going to cut this one completely off, even though it looks like it has a lot of vigor, but we only want it to go 2 different directions. Same with this one here, coming down. We're going to cut that one off because that's right next to where our trunk splits, and we don't want to have multiples of those. it's almost impossible to see, but that pruned up this main vine that is the largest one of the three. I think what we are going to do is prune out the smallest one. When we come down here to the bottom, you can see we've got a couple different pieces coming off. This was a wild vine that was on this pine tree when I cut it down, so we're just going to cut out some of that old stuff. And then these are the two main ones. This is the largest one that I was just talking about. I'm gonna prune out this one. And now that we're down to two main vines, the larger of the two is pruned now. It looks great. This does get a little complicated and in the weeds. Hopefully whenever my Ison's varieties come in, then it'll be a little bit easier, because I'm just doing those single trunk. It also makes me think about these being on a fence line. I know several of the others we planted on a chain link. And do you want it on that, or do you want it on a wire? Advantages to each, obviously the fence line might already be there. And with the chain link, you've got a top rail, which helps with the weight. You don't have to worry about any sagging at all. Disadvantages, you got stuff weaving through. You can't necessarily get over to the other side quite as easily, depending on how long that fence is. If you wanted to pick on both sides, and you couldn't just step through, etc. So again, just kind of decide what you want to do. All right, guys, so we're gonna see if we can get this giant muscadine pruned up and see exactly what we're dealing with here. This thing probably is at least 100 foot, which is pretty crazy. So check out the footage here where we're kind of following along. So I think what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna prune this right here in this area, and that's because muscadine there, and then muscadine there, muscadine. All right, guys, so we're gonna prune this giant muscadine back. We did it. All right, so that definitely changed the support a little bit on how this is holding up. We're definitely gonna have to put a post in right here and make this be like that. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Looking for fish. All right, y'all, so you can see we got that pruned, going out that direction. Almost looks dead, but I'm gonna need to check, but I think some of those offshoots weren't. We've definitely got some swelling on some of these other buds, so I'm gonna prune these back to the usual, and then at some point pretty soon we're gonna have to put a post here so we can run a wire going that way. Still debating if I put a post here, put a post down there and run a wire as well for the muscadines on this fence line. So let's see exactly what we end up doing. we're gonna do it. This is about 10 feet here. I think what I'm gonna do, just go right past that zip tie right there. Got it. All right, now let's knock out the rest of this. We have to remember, this right here is probably 50 feet out. We're gonna try it. I just think it's kind of cool that this comes out, and if it doesn't work, we'll just prune it back and let it grow circles, and if it dies, we'll plant a regular muscadine vine. It'll be all right. I might end up taking this one out later. Too indecisive. Should be listening to Jim. Let's check the rest of this vine and see exactly what we've got. And I don't know if we have anything else we need to trim off or not, but let's check it out. So this big vine here is the one that we're growing, and it does have stuff coming off of it. I think what I'm gonna do is just prune everything off and let it go that direction. This wide angle makes it look like it's like 5,000 feet. Let's zoom in. Let me get my ladder. Nope, it'll come down. These are all just coming off of that main trunk coming around. Don't touch that. Don't touch fairy vines. Poison ivy and I don't get along. Alright guys, so we got that pruned up, and we'll see exactly how it turns out. There is one other decent sized vine over there that's going up another tree. We might try and move that later on this year. We'll see how this one does. Let us know if you want to see move maybe a 50 or 75 foot vine. Be happy to do it. And also this big tree behind us, we're going to be taking that out before too much longer. That big ice storm that we had definitely caused us to, we're going to lose this tree, but it's all right. It will heat the house a little bit. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoy this video, and let us know if you've ever done this with wild muscadines. Don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe, and ring that bell after you subscribe like Mike Tyson did in the 1980s. Y'all have a good one.